Hi, good evening. Thank you for joining us. I am Patrice Little, Editor-in-Chief of NP Student Magazine, and this is our first Facebook Live. And I must say, I have something big in store for you. I have here with me Kadia Prosper. Hey, Kadia.
Hey.
So Kadia is a recent graduate from Burdine F. Lewis College of Nursing of Georgia State University. And she wanted just to share some tidbits with those with the class of 2018. But before, we must say congratulations to those who, the recent NP graduates.
Congrats, everybody.
Your hard work has not gone in vain, I'm telling you that.
Hey, Debbie. Hi, Dr. Nelson.
So this is just a sneak peek into what we have in store for you with the NP Student Magazine as we approach our launch. Kadia recently wrote an article that I must say was awesome, and it's called The Do's and Don'ts After Graduation. So that's what we'll talk today. But before we move any further than that, we would like for those who are tuning in just to let us know where you're tuning in from, your school, and also what class you are, or if you graduated, what year you graduated.
Well, I'll go ahead and share.
Yes.
I graduated in December 2017, so I'm a pretty recent graduate from Georgia State University's Burdine F. Lewis College of Nursing and Health Professions. So I'm a very proud double alumni. Got my bachelor's there and my master's now, and passed my boards recently. So and my I'm in a family nurse practitioner. So that's my discipline. So I'm very excited to be able to talk about what happens after graduation, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Just to be able to provide some tips, some guidance to be able to help you guys through this journey. It is quite a journey, the whole process of being in school, and then you graduate, because that is the goal. Your number one goal is, I have just got to make it and graduate. But yes. Then it's like, well, what do you do now?
Exactly. And one of the things that I had shared on a previous post is that sometimes you have a lot of unanswered questions, and you don't have that mentorship. And that's one of the things that we really need in our nursing field, to have more mentors mentoring nurse practitioners as they transition from RN to NP. And that's right. Why Kadia and I are here with you today. So I just also wanted to know, as far as, well, first, congratulations on your recent passing of boards. That's awesome. That's awesome. And just tell us a little bit about what else has been going on since graduation. So it's been 6 months. So what has been going on as far as role transition and job search and just in general?
Okay. So a little backstory. I've been a nurse for 6 years now. We just celebrated National Nurses Week last week. So, kind of just reflecting on my journey thus far, and really just taking time to enjoy and celebrate this great accomplishment. Mm-hmm. The first thing I did was I put all my books away. I did not want to study for boards yet. I wanted to rejoice, celebrate, take a break, a vacation, do things I hadn't been able to do while I was in school. Hey, Shannon, thanks for joining. Hey, Jessica. Just be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor. I had been in grad school for 2.5, 3 years. Okay. And at the same time raising a teenager, I had started a new job, still working to support my family, started a new relationship. So all of this was going on all at the same time, and all of those are equally important things to me. So finding ways to balance and being a poor juggler, because, during those times, you can't always keep all the balls afloat in the air.
Correct.
So I gained a lot of weight. Health, not that I had any health issues, but gaining weight and dealing with a lot of stress while you're going through all of those things was a lot. So I just needed to decompress from all of that. So that was the main thing I did. Hey, cousin. Power Ranger B, that's my cousin Brian joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
London, which is 5 hours ahead. So I love you and thank you for joining us. Yeah, just being able to decompress from all of that.
Okay.
My goal was to take a break for about a month and then start studying. Apparently, I needed a little bit more than that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Because I just wanted to add a little bit. It's so important that you're honest with yourself and not trying to achieve someone else's standard for you. Some people feel like the sooner you take boards, the less likely you'll fail, but you really need to be prepared, just not intellectually, but just spiritually and emotionally for boards. And that's one of the things that I admire about you, is that you were honest with yourself. And that's why you were such a success the first time.
Yes.
And that's why we stress that.
Yeah.
The importance of taking a break.
Yeah. So I took a break, and some of those that were closest to me kept saying, when are you going to study for boards? When are you taking your boards? Have you scheduled your exam yet? Have you scheduled your exam yet?
Yes.
What are you doing? What are you doing with your life? Hey, Nicole. She graduated last May. She's one of the people that inspires me. I love you, Nicole. When are you taking your boards? I felt pestered. I felt pressured. I felt like, just get off my back. I'm going to do it when I'm good and ready.
Correct.
And I'm stubborn that way. And I know I needed to study and I needed to get on it, because on the flip side, you don't really want to wait too long before you take boards. Correct. You want to take it while things are still fresh in your mind. You still have all of your school knowledge kind of bottled up there. But an important thing, like you said, are you spiritually ready? Are you emotionally ready? Are you physically ready to be able to take on such a great task? Because it is a weighted thing, and it means a big deal for us as nurses, as nurse practitioners. Your board exam is everything.
Correct.
And so you put a lot of pressure on yourself. And I think I just needed those couple of months to decompress from it all. Once I did, I picked up the book and I was ready. And I studied. I studied for about 3 to 4 weeks. I studied every day. Every chance I had my book with me. I took it to work, took it to appointments. I took it to everywhere. Every moment I had free time, I had my book and my 2 pens, because I needed 2 colors, just to be able to. Hi, Natalie. She's joining us from Miami. And
thank you for joining us.
Who's that? Michelle. Hey, Michelle. That's my cousin Brian's wife, joining us from London as well.
And thank you for sharing that with us. And I know one additional question that some people may have that are tuning in with us today is, did you incorporate any study groups? Did you just study alone? Some people feel like they're more successful being alone. Some people feel like they're more successful with a group, and some people feel like they're more successful taking a review course. Did you incorporate any of those when you were preparing for boards?
So I had this grand plan. I was going to study with my classmates. I was going to attend a review, a live review, which means a review in person by an expert in our field that we pay a lot of money to attend. And then there are different review books that we use. Hi, Colleen. She's one of my
Thank you for joining us.
A lot of review books that you can use. There's the Barkley Review, there's the Leak Review, there's Collier. There are several others. I'm not familiar with them all. And audio CDs. I was going to use a combination of everything, and I'm kind of glad that they have different modes for you to study, because everyone is different, like you said. Yeah. I ended up studying by myself. A lot of my friends had already taken boards. So I didn't really have anyone to study with. So I studied by myself. I just used the book, one of the review books, and I studied it literally from cover to cover. I needed to have everything fresh in my mind. I needed to at least glance and put my eyes on just about all of the material that we learned in our program. And I felt, once I was finished, I felt like I had studied enough, and I felt sure and ready to take the exam. And again, everyone is different. Some people need to go to that live review. Some people need to study with a group of people. Some people need to listen to audio CDs. The review book worked just fine for me. And
with me, I graduated from Brenau University in Gainesville, Georgia, class of 2013. So I did Fitzgerald review, and that worked. However, I needed to do an additional review because I had a little miniature me in the oven. So it was like everything that I did for Fitzgerald Review, it wasn't as fresh because of physiological reasons. So what I did was do, they have a supplemental online review, and that's what I did in adjunct to the live review, and I did it by myself as well. Same thing, and I found it very beneficial, and that's just one of the ways I learn. So there's different types of learners. You have kinesthetic, you have visual, and you have audio. So just do what's best for you when it comes to preparing for boards. And there's some other things that I also wanted to get into as far as the do's and the don'ts. What types of steps, so you took boards, but what types of steps did you have to do before, and what types of steps did you have to do after boards in order to have that licensure that says, hey, I can practice?
Right. I see we have a couple of folks that joined in. Hey, Kevin. That's my cousin who's like
Thank you for joining us, for
Miami.
those who are just tuning in.
And I see Natalie's joined in, Thimby, Miss Debbie. I see Natalia. Hey, guys. Okay, so steps that you needed to do before you can take boards.
Correct.
So I was very fortunate attending Georgia State University's NP program because there is a class that is required to take the final semester of class called the Advanced Professional Issues class. And we actually were afforded the opportunity to start some of the things that we needed to prepare us for after graduation. For example, we, in class, pulled up the Board of Nursing application to apply for licensure. And our instructor went through all of the details and was very specific about how you complete the application, because it's a paper application, believe it or not, that you have to submit through snail mail. And it's very specific. So we had that. Another item is that you have to request your transcripts.
Correct.
Our professor was very specific about the date of conference of the degree because it's different than the graduation date. And you have to have that specific date in order to request to have, the final grades and all of your credits listed. Otherwise, you'd have to request another copy. And we all know if you've attended school, they're not for free. So we had a specific date in which we had to request our transcripts. They had to be sent to the Board of Nursing as well as the certifying body. And what we mean by certifying body is, as nurse practitioners, there are two certifying bodies that we take exams through. One is the American
Nursing Credentialing Center.
Correct. Which is
that's me.
Patrice is through. And then mine is the American Association of Nurse Practitioners, or AANP. So those are the two certifying bodies. And they also need a copy of your transcripts as well. And it's best to send them as soon as possible. So even though I wasn't ready to study, I had already sent my paid for, requested, and submitted my transcripts to both of those certifying bodies. So that is another thing that we learned that we needed to do through my program. So applying for the license, submitting transcripts, and then before you can even take your board exam, you have to apply for it. Correct. All of this stuff, a fee is associated with. And our instructors were great about letting us know the cost comparison for both certifying bodies, as well as the cost for renewal, which we have to eventually do.
And the frequency of renewal.
Correct. And as well, what all the information that we needed for the application, how long it would take to complete the application, how soon you needed to complete the application. Once the application is submitted, the fee is paid, and the transcripts are received, you have to wait for approval from the certifying body to be able to sit for your board exam. So you have to schedule the board exam.
Exactly.
So there are a lot of steps and a lot of details, and I was privileged to be at a school that was able to help us, help us navigate through those steps. I know not everyone is fortunate in their respective schools to be able to have that guidance. So I'm glad Patrice and I are having this discussion to be able to, to be able to provide that knowledge to those of you who may not be at a school that is, sharing that information with you. And
then just as a segue, this is one of the reasons why NP student magazine exists, simply because of the fact that we know with every school, whether it's brick and mortar or whether it's proprietary, they're not giving you the same thing to prepare you for that next step in role transitioning. So it's always good to have just a central resource that can give you all the do's and don'ts and just some of the answer those questions that you have unanswered. And so you can be able to take the next step forward. So we have covered a lot. And again, I just want to thank you. And I also want to let everyone who's tuning in know how much Kadia has, like, the passion that she has for sharing this information with the students. And I'm so grateful for your insight that you shared with us today. And I am hoping that it's going to be informative to you all who are watching. And continue to just follow us as we prepare for the launch for NP Student Magazine. We also have a feature that's called NP-spiration, so inspiration for NPs. And just wanted to close off with that. Did you have any type of, let's see, words of inspiration or NP-spiration or any quotes that you wanted to share before we sign off?
Natalie has a question.
Hi, Natalie. Thank you for joining us.
So Natalie, how do you choose, her question is, how do you choose which certifying body you're going to sit for? Great question.
That is a good question.
And
because we both took
a different one.
Yeah.
So I think we can both give our answer and our reason for why we chose which one.
Okay.
AANP, the exam is more based on clinical practice. And I, as a family nurse practitioner, we both are, but my focus is clinical practice. I'm really good at the clinical piece and clinical knowledge of things. So that is majority of the reason that I decided to select that exam. And I do know that the ANCC has more.
It's more like, I want to say administrative, but that's not the correct word. But
it's
not
research,
because it's not more clinical based, and that was what was best for me, because as a nurse, I did more so coordination. Did not do much hands-on. I'm sorry, I wasn't one of those hands-on nurses, but I was the bomb at case management, coordinating programs, and prior to that, I was a high school teacher. So some of those skills were transferable that I was able to use in the field. So that's what was best for me.
And I know Nicole Mosby, she was on and she was watching. She is a family nurse practitioner as well, and she chose to take the ANCC because Emory, if you're an Emory employee or an Emory student, they pay for it. So that was her reasoning why.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a part of her reasoning why she chose to take that particular one. And then all of the requirements are different as far as recertifying, the number of credits you need, membership. You know, if you're a member of AANP or ANCC, you get discounts based on that. So it's kind of a whatever you prefer, Natalie, to take when you get to that point. And I know graduation is soon for you.
And we're hoping that we answered your question. And I just wanted to add on that when it's all said and done, how the credentials look, because that's another thing. With me, it's FNP, BC, and with Kadia, it's
FNPC.
So that's also the difference.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so you were asking me about NP-spiration.
Yes, inspiration. Yes.
I would have to say that as far as inspiration goes, I happen to find it in many places. Right now, I have three main sources of inspiration. One is Dr. Michelle Nelson. She was my undergraduate research professor. She was my graduate research professor.
And she's also our president of UAPRN. She is also
our president of UAPRN, which is our state nurse practitioner organization. And she's my mentor. And I just want to be like her when I grow up. She wears many hats. She is a successful Black woman. She is a doctor. She is a nurse. She is PhD prepared. She loves research. And she is just phenomenal and fabulous. And I just want to be like her. Another source of inspiration is one of my mentees who, while I was working as an RN at in the surgical ICU, she was a senior practicum student. And now she has 3-4 years of nursing experience. Her name is Alexa. I don't know if she's watching. She's in Cali travel nursing right now. And I'm just so proud of her and so proud of her growth as a person and as a nurse. And she is, you know, she's working on her brand and she's just doing great things. And I'm super proud of her. And then my other source of inspiration is this young lady here.
Oh my gosh.
She's amazing. We have known each other since high school.
Can you believe it? That's a long time. She's like, honestly, she's like a sister. I have no idea why I'm sitting this far from her. I was just doing it more so for aesthetics. But Katie have known each other for a long time.
We both share a Jamaican background.
Big up.
We both ended up being nurses, even though neither of us had chosen that path. And then we reconnected some years later, and she has just been like, you know, paving the way and doing it her way. And that is just a huge inspiration for me. And it's motivational for me. You know, she's a nurse practitioner. She's currently enrolled at Mercer University, working on her doctorate. She just started a magazine, guys. She just started a magazine. And I'm sitting here with her. She's interviewing me, but she's a great inspiration as a nurse practitioner for her.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. I can feel the love. I can feel the love. And this is what it's about. It's about us inspiring each other as we move forward into our careers and not forgetting about those who are getting ready to be in the place that we are. And for those of you who want additional information as far as what Kadia had to say about the do's and don'ts after graduation, please email me at editor@npstudentmagazine.com. That's a sneak peek. I can't tell you how much I'm excited about this launch. We've been working on this for months. Matter of fact, you wrote that article back in January, the first week in January.
I literally had just graduated, and she asked me, she said, while it's fresh on your mind,
how do you feel?
Can you write an article for me? And I said, absolutely.
And she was coming from her heart, thinking about you guys. And we thank you again for joining us. We hope we can do this again and talk about some other things that pretty much impact us as nurse practitioners. And I'm wishing you all the best and continue to follow us at NP Student Magazine. I am Patrice Little.
And I'm Kadia Pastor.
Bye.